Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? You know what they say, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. So keeping a close eye on the Falcons as they have a new head coach. Let's head over there to Atlanta, talk to our buddy Orlando Ledbetter of the AJC. He's on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. Y'all give him a follow. Orlando, it's great to visit again, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's always our pleasure, man. Okay, what's been the reaction there about the Raheem Morris hire?
Been on both sides of the aisle. A lot of people are excited to see him come back, get a second head coaching opportunity. Know that he's a Super Bowl winner 2 times, and hoping that he can get the franchise turned around. And then the others are like, hey, this guy had a losing record, 17-31. He did have a 10-6 season, and then he was 4-7 as an interim guy with a team he had to take over after Dan Quinn got fired. So, it's kind of all over the place like that.
How close were they to hiring Bill Belichick?
Very close. He was their number one target. They interviewed him twice. Interviewed him, in person, and then again, he was the first person to get a second interview. So they were ready to go with him, but his vision for the franchise didn't square with the owner's vision for the franchise. Bill wanted to come in and have all the authority that he had in New England, and the Falcons are a shared authority team, and he didn't want any parts of that.
Maybe the biggest question for Raheem Morris and Arthur Blank and for that whole organization is, like, who's going to play quarterback? I'm assuming it's not going to be Desmond Ridder. Does he still have a shot, Desmond Ridder, at this job, or is it going to be a completely different direction?
Everybody's suspecting a completely different direction. They're going to definitely it's going to be based on how Raheem wants to play. He signed Zach Robinson as OC. That's an air raid quarterback coming from the Rams, so that's John McVay's version of the West Coast offense. So Ritter's not that guy. So, yeah, you got to figure that they're moving on to a more traditional quarterback.
And look, the Saints interviewed Zach Robinson, and that was a guy a lot of people here were potentially excited about. He'll be in the NFC South, just not New Orleans. Well, what direction do they go? Like, is there a feeling that Justin Fields could be the guy, or is it more likely they go find a quarterback in the draft?
Yeah, Justin Fields doesn't fit anymore. He doesn't fit the Rams offense. So, I got to think that that's not a possibility. Kirk Cousins would fit, that'd be sure. The draft, it's always a crapshoot. There's not going to be anybody there at 8, that you want to take at the quarterback position unless you like a Bo Nix or a J.J. McCarthy type of player. Maybe Penix is there at 8. But, if you got to trade up, if you want to get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels, your guy down in LSU.
Is there any history of Atlanta being willing to do that, to move up to take a quarterback?
Oh, yeah. You hear about a guy named Michael Vick?
Did they trade up for Vick?
Yes, they did. They traded up from the 8th spot to number 1 with the Chargers.
Okay.
Chargers now, they ended up taking Drew Brees, and Michael Vick came to the Falcons. But Brees was later go on to get, signed with the Saints and so forth and turned into a pretty good little quarterback.
I mean, that's been in Orlando Ledbetter's, I guess, in the AJC talking Falcons. That's been almost a quarter century. Is there a feeling Arthur Blank might do the same thing, or do they stand pat at 8? What's most likely? Do they take a quarterback at 8 or later in the draft? Do they trade up, or do they find a quarterback in free agency?
I'm thinking you trade up here. And then not only Michael Vick, they traded up with Cleveland to get to 6 to get Julio Jones. So they've shown the propensity under Blank to trade up. So, yeah, the best move is going to be to trade up. You want to eliminate your, chances. And, if you think Jaden Daniels is the guy that can run your offense, you go on and get him. If you think it's Drake May, you got to get up to 3. But the problem is that Chicago, Washington, and New England are 1, 2, 3, and all those teams need quarterbacks. So, it's going to be hard to pry one of those 6 away.
Couple more for you. When you look at the top of the division right now, Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa are all relatively close. I mean, Carolina's obviously in a different ballpark. But there's a feeling here that even though the Saints statistically are close, they don't really feel like they're a contender. What is the feeling there in Atlanta, Orlando? Do they feel like they are close to being a contending team?
They say they are. I don't think where they can have that conclusion based on the 3-7-10 records. You haven't been able to beat anybody good. You haven't even been over 500 for much of the season. You haven't been able to string together 3 wins. Haven't been able to put up 30 points at all last year. So, they played better on defense, but you gotta be able to put up some points on the offensive side of the ball. There's 2 leagues. They're in the bottom half of the league, and they're able to beat some teams in the bottom half. But, as far as playoff teams and contenders, none of these teams are up there, even though Tampa Bay had a game showing against Detroit. But, they didn't play like that all year. They had to win 6 in a row to get to the playoffs.
What a weird cycle it's been for the NFC South. And I'm sure it'll continue in this offseason. He is Orlando Ledbetter on Twitter at @DOrlandoAJC, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, covering the Falcons. It's always a pleasure when we get a couple of minutes. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.